Alright guys, welcome back to the Custom Works YouTube. So today I'm heading out, well, just out to the lot here to grab my newest project car, get it in the shop and get started tearing it down. So I've looked for quite a while, or I've always been looking for a B7 Avant, especially titanium and white. Number one white, but titanium was kind of an extra bonus. Now I have my other one that's 3 liter swapped. That was kind of the first one I bought. I bought it because it was a white Avant in my price range. The 3 liter was kind of an extra. But this car, just a standard A4, we'll kind of go over it quick. I do have the bumper and everything for it. The previous owner had some engine issues and he started tearing it apart and then gave up. So I have everything there. Really the only damage on the car is this dent in the hood, so I will have to get a hood for it. But other than that, the car is actually really nice condition for what it is. A little bit of scuffs on the door blades there, sides, or the door blades. Other than that, there's really no body damage. It's an S-Line, titanium edition, all the good stuff. Got some S4 seats that'll be going into it. So if you know B7s, the big thing with the titanium is not only do you get the black trim, so black roof racks, black trim around the windows and doors, piano black interior there, all around there, shifts around. Yes, this is an auto car. No, it's not staying auto, but the main thing is black headliner, which of course is sagging, so I'm gonna have to wrap that anyway. But yeah, so you get the black, only way to get the black headliner in an A4, which I wanted. A4 S4 didn't really matter. I just wanted the chassis because I have pretty crazy swap started for this car. It's been sitting in the back corner of the shop forever. I finally got the supporting pieces that I needed to do the swap. So it's finally all coming together. It'll be this winter's project. Should be absolutely sick. Stay tuned for it. But for now, we're going to get this car in the shop. Diagnose what's actually wrong with the engine. I think it has just a coolant leak or something, so that I know what I got. And then that engine's going to get pulled and sold or put on the shelf for future use. And we're going to start test fitting some stuff in this thing. So stay tuned. Let's get this thing in the car, diagnose it, pull the old engine out. I got to send some harness parts off over to Europe to get mocked up for what we got coming. So that's what we're trying to do now. And then it'll probably be a month or so until I get that parts back. But until that happens, we're going to start mocking up the engine setup for this car. So let's get it in the shop and get to work on it. All right, let's see. Oh shit, of course the hood strut's gone. So let's get this battery pack up close here. Set this on my knees. I can do all this one-handed. Prop the hood on my head. Get it in on here. Oh, stay there. A little awkward doing everything one-armed while holding the camera while my wires are all twisted up on my battery pack. Let's see if it'll stay on there. Battery pack's going to become the hood support. Ooh. New hood support right there. All right, I'm gonna fire this thing up. It actually runs great. It just has no coolant in it, so I'll probably coolant flange, something like that. Maybe water pump, I don't know. Car's 155 on it. Fires right up. It doesn't even have an engine light. So the car actually runs great. But I want to diagnose the coolant leak. Previous owner already, I believe, put a new turbo on it, new high pressure fuel pump, new oil filter housing. So he was close, but he gave up right before he got it finished. So too bad I don't want the 2 liter, because I bet I just have to put a coolant flange or something like that on it and we'd have a good car. But we're gonna trash that engine. Well, not trash it, but we're gonna pull it out of here and on to better stuff. So let's get this thing in the shop, see what we find. Oh, it actually does come with a P3 gauge. Kind of cool, but not really going to be useful for what I'm doing, so that'll probably be coming out. If any of you guys need 2 liter parts, let me know, because I will be selling some. As you can see, there's my other one. Alright, so we got the car in the shop here, and we're going to go ahead and see if we can diagnose what's leaking here. So you can see we've got no coolant in it. And we got what appears to be trans fluid on there. So my first suspect is going to be, supposedly they just did an oil filter housing and the trans cooler, oil cooler, all that stuff's kind of down in there. You can see we got trans fluid mixed with coolant looking stuff on top of the engine mount. Everything's kind of wet up this side. We got coolant laying down in here. So whatever it was, it blew pretty good. We can see right up on here, there's a bunch of splatter, which kind of looks like the explosion was right there, which coming straight down, it's right in this area. So something blew up right on here. So we're gonna get the pressure tester on it, put some pressure in the cooling system, see where it comes out. So I'm gonna put you on the stand and get to testing. All right, so it was a little tough getting a video of the actual testing, and sometimes the obvious leaks are the hardest to diagnose with the really big ones because you can't even build enough pressure to check while you're building pressure. But if we follow this elbow up, I don't know if you can quite get it on video, but you can see that is blown off of the thermostat. I believe that's the thermostat outlet right there. So that whole pipe, apparently when they did their oil filter housing, they didn't put their clamp back on. You can see the clamp. Really can't get in there good. It's a problem. Here, put my leg in from the top. You can see the clamp right there. That is still on the neck of the thermostat, and the hose is right there. So I'm pretty sure they were one step away from having a good running car, but they gave up a little too soon. So I don't think I'm even going to bother fixing it. I know the engine runs good, and I know I got an obvious leak there. So we're going to go ahead and pull this thing out and on to better stuff. All right, guys. Little engine is out. Thanks to your man Steve here. Got her pulled out, so we got a little bit of room for a lot of activities. Gonna take some hacking and cutting for where we're going, but we got a good start. So we're gonna get this off, get the engine harness off for some of the plugs we need, and then we're gonna dig out another engine and start testing it in there. So we'll see. Think it'll be cool? Should be. We're gonna find out, so stay tuned. All right, a little bit of a size comparison. See if we can do this. There's a visible difference. I don't know, can you tell the difference? A little different. Just a little bit? I think the main difference is it's a little bit wider. I mean, I don't know. Well, honestly, I think it's about the same. It should drop right in there. Exhaust is a weird thing in the back there. I'm not sure what that's for. Must have a really funny downpipe. Anyway, we're gonna see how that goes in there. I guess if that doesn't fit the way we want, we always have that one. We won't go there. So we're working on going in here. Width-wise, we're pretty centered. I'm just sitting on the subframe as of right now. But pretty much what we got to do is figure out what we're going to all need to do to get clearance for that flange and the round thing that sits on top of there. So it does look like secondary firewall is definitely going to be doomed. Come over here, kind of see where we're at here. Decent clearance, we're not totally square. We're gonna be able to come back a little more yet. So I'm gonna keep inching it back in, kind of see how close I get. Get some rough marks. Hopefully kind of figure out where I'm gonna cut it and how I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut the whole thing out. See if I cut the whole thing out starting from the top shock towers down, or if I'm gonna try to notch it. But we'll keep inching it in, see where we get to. All right, so I think we're as far as we're gonna go without just starting the cutting process. But if we look here, it does line up pretty good. We're actually very near the height. If you look right there, that is our engine mount bracket right there, and we're actually right about that level. I can go up just a tick. So on this side, we're at the perfect height. This side, kind of tough sighting. You can see the engine mount right there, and that's a bracket. So we're sitting very near the right height that it's going to be in the car, but it's going to have to move back. Assuming these brackets line up, or the mounts line up, we've got to go back to there. So I'm going to grab a tape measure and just kind of get a rough idea. Just a really rough guesstimation there. We got to go back about 7 inches, which, if we look 7 inches here into the frame rail, that is pretty much, see if I can line you guys up there. Can't really see, but that's the flywheel right there. And if you come back straight, that is literally going to get us flywheel right into the frame rails, which is about exactly where we need to be to get radiator fitment clearance, almost to the point of factory. So that gets me an idea. I'm going to have to start notching. If we look, I'm touching right there. So I believe what I'm going to do is I'm going to make just for now, just make the start of a cut. Probably going to notch straight down here, across and back up, and then I'll work on cleaning it out once I know exactly how far back we're going to go. The battery's going to get relocated to the rear. We're going to try to keep everything else factory, but I'm more likely to end up cleaning this all off, try to do it nice and cleanly, and then maybe do like a strut bar or something like that after the fact. But yeah, for now I'm going to pull this back out, strip all the wiring off, get it down to a little bit of a smaller lump to work with, and get a bit of a hole cut. All right, so engine is back out, and we basically figured out from this point we got to go back a long ways. So I believe what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a rough notch, probably somewhere in here. Not going to worry too much about it being clean. We're just going to go kind of conservative where we can keep trimming and cleaning up as we go. The main thing we got to worry about is our steering rack there. We can't get back into there. I'll probably pull these heater core lines out. From the one picture I have of how this engine was previously setting, it looks like the turbo is basically right here. So we will probably have to go maybe pull this heater core, because I definitely do want the heat to keep working, and get in there and do a hard 90 behind the brake booster. So I'm going to go in here and clean all these wires out because the battery's going to get moved. So I'm going to pull all this stuff out, kind of clean up everything we don't need, and then get in here and start making our notches. So you can see this is the bolts that mount the steering rack. There's one here, one back there. So we technically could, right here. So technically we could notch all the way back to almost here. Then I would probably go in here and add some structure to it afterward. But for now, notch this area out, test fit again, and see if we can get that thing back in its home. And then get our turbo bolted on there and get an idea how it's going to work. Also got to strip all the wiring and junk off of it there. All right, time for the Sawzall. A little bit scary, but it's got to be done. So I believe I'm going to come right down through here. Well, boys, we've got a notch. Now, I am not really convinced that that by itself is going to gain us much. I think this area is going to have to get notched back as well a bit. But we're going to go ahead and go back in and just double check that. All right, so I've got the secondary firewall cut away down to kind of the main structure here. But unfortunately, looking back at the footage, my turbo flange was hitting about right here. So that means this is going to have to come back. Basically going to notch all of this out to where, if we look under here, our steering rack sets right here and this brake line, which I pulled down. So I'm going to try to come in right under this grommet and notch forward, which on the top is right here. You can see your steering rack right there. So I'm going to notch this forward, come back along here and forward right on this side of the mark, or of the mount here. Then once we got everything situated in here, we're just going to have to make new structure, maybe a brace across the top or the bottom, somewhere wherever space allows. Maybe might have to curve back around here, but we will do some sort of bracing. For now, let's get back with the Sawzall and make us some space. All right, guys, I did throw a turbo head laying around here on just for quick test purposes. we're gonna go ahead and try to shove it back in. I have a very quick and ugly notch made here. That will all get cleaned up once we kind of figure out where we're going. So we can see steering racks right here. Here's our brake line. That'll just kind of flex and do whatever it needs to. So for now, I'm gonna get these guys set down. We're gonna shove it in there, see how good or bad the fitment is. That is a lot of stuff to pack in one little engine bay. See, turbo's basically back against the main firewall, but the whole engine's gonna tilt down. So I'm hoping by the time all that happens, there'll be some magic and it'll fit. All right, I'm gonna try to pop these engine mounts off of here. Give us less to fight, since we won't. Not convinced we'll get that far back, but we're gonna try it. So the question is, should we go above it, below it, or do we gotta change it? All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm just in the shop by myself a little bit this afternoon, doing a little bit of weekend poking around. We got a couple options for projects. Obviously we got the new wagon here, we got the V10 project, and we got my S8 in here. But the first thing I want to do is, well, one of the things is go around and pick up my snap-on parts. When you're the one guy that has the good tools, they kind of get borrowed. Anyway, so I got this package here in the mail. I kind of forgot that I had ordered it. I'm gonna see if I can seal it open without actually damaging it. Wait, I'll see if I can set this up. Alright. So I had bought this off of, I don't know if it was Alibaba, one of those sites. And it is supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be my little side, I don't know if you call them grills or trim pieces from a S8 RS style bumper. Probably like 3 months ago that I ordered it. They popped up for cheap and I haven't even been able to find any. Oh, and it's only one. Anyway, I don't know, I think well, I guess we'll go find out which side it is. I guess that would be passenger side. Does look kind of like the right one, so let's go find out. So I actually lost both of mine. I'm gonna have to, if these fit anything like the other ones did. Oh man, it actually fits. So that means I gotta go back and find the other one. But yeah, both of them flew out when I was out doing some logging and I couldn't never find them again. So I'm probably gonna glue that in when I stick it in. But yeah, that's awesome. And I actually like the ones I had were like chrome, nasty, plasticky type of finish. This is actually a little bit more of a matte finish. I don't think it's quite like the original RS ones are, but it is a lot closer. The other ones are kind of like this, just a shiny, nasty looking chrome there. But anyway, that is that. It's my R7 engine that needs some rods and a place to be put into. And then of course we got the V10. So I think I'm gonna start off today by working on this a little bit. I wanna strip all the harness off. It's a lot of junk on there that I'm trying to work around. So that'll clean that up a whole lot. Maybe I'll push the car out. You can see, thanks to the old 2-liter, she is oily. But anyway, so that gives us a few things to do. So I'm gonna get started with this. If I get you guys set up so you can kind of watch me do this, and I'm gonna get that tore off and go from there. Alright, so now we got her stripped down to a much smaller workable lump there. You You can see there's a ton of wiring on these engines. It's pretty simple, but there is a lot of it. So you got all the coils. It is very simply routed. It basically splits off into two banks, two lines. You get your coils, and on the inside you got your injectors, and they kind of run around the front. A couple drop downs to your cam position sensors, knock sensors on the front here, oil pressure sensor, obviously your injectors. You got your intake, exhaust, cam position sensors. Got the fuel pumps up here, which we will be having to go over them. So yeah, pretty simple engine, really, just a lot of everything. So now I think we're gonna go back in, try to figure out if I'm gonna make, try to get different mounts, make these work, and just make an adapter between the two, because we're gonna have to come forward quite a ways. While we're out, I'm gonna clean up my notch a little bit, give it a little bit more room. Probably gonna bring that kind of down in there a little bit to make downpipe clearance. But for now, I'm gonna keep going, do some measuring, and then we'll be right back at it and see if we can get this thing kind of mocked up and close to where we need to be. Alright, so I'm gonna attempt to put this turbo back on here, but it was set up. Well, we're not going to worry about that actually. Alright, so that kind of is going to get us an idea where we're at. Might actually grab the down pipe. So that's what we're going to be looking like down pipe wise. Alright, so I'm going to swing that in there. See how that does. Got a little more clearance. And oil feed. That'll still work. Perfect. So we are ready to swing it in. All right, so I think I'm going to end off here for the day. Did a bunch more cutting, fitting in and out, up and down. And we have got it very near the general area where it's going to be pretty near level in all directions, side to side, front to back. Now I'm basically down to figure out if I'm going to modify the mount to have come up with a complete custom setup, try to get OEM stuff to end up getting close on all that good stuff. So basically I'm hitting on the subframe, so either gotta notch that or try a different subframe. Engine mounts are pretty far from lining up, as you can see. Come on, get me up in here. Here's the factory one, factory 2OT, so I could get B7 4.2 mounts, which would kick it forward. I'm going to do some measuring to see if it's going to be far enough forward to actually catch this. A couple different options there, or I could just cut this mount and make a completely custom bracket either to this one or custom off the engine to the subframe. Not sure which route I'm going to go there yet. Turbo is pretty near fitting. I need to come out again, take the battery tray off. We're hitting on that right now. This turbo may or may not get used. It's just kind of one I had in the shop. That is roughly the same dimension as the Garrett that came off of here that I already used on a different project, but it gives us a rough size comparison. Bolts up similar to the Garrett, and we're going to use it right now for test fitting. Over here, you can kind of see turbo fitment again. Not a ton of room. I will have to trim this out a little bit for the downpipe, which is right here. And we'll sit kind of like that up and down the back. Trans is kind of up about where it needs to be, so you can see we're sitting pretty level. If you sight the oil pan to the subframe there, everything's pretty nice. We are very nearly centered between the frame rails there. Height-wise, I think we're really close. So the fun of this project is not only am I just trying to get this set in, lined up, and bolted in, I'm working around a prefabricated kit that was in a car like this but that I have no idea or directions of how exactly it was put in. So it kind of adds a whole other dimension to making everything work, because if I just bolt it in, I might find out that I'm back too far and the downpipe doesn't fit, or forward too far and the intercooler pipes don't fit. And I don't really want to have to remake the whole kit since I already have it. So it's a whole bunch of measuring, fitting, undoing it, tweaking it, back and forth before we solidly mount this thing in there. I got to make sure that everything works, everything bolts in and works to my liking. And if there is something I got to tweak, that we do that before. So for now, guys, I think that's going to wrap up this one. We'll see you on the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.